When you hear the word famine, it's easy to picture something from a history book, right? But the thing is, this fight for survival is happening right now, all over the world. It's a modern, super complex crisis. And today we're going to look at two totally different ways people are fighting it. First, the huge high-tech global system built to save millions, and then the fiercely independent mindset of people who prepare for when that exact system fails. Okay, let's get into it.
All right, so first things first, what are we even talking about? Famine relief. I mean, it's pretty much what it sounds like. A big, organized effort to stop people from starving during a famine. It's a really simple definition for what is, in reality, an unbelievably complicated operation involving governments, scientists, and aid groups from all over.
To really get a sense of the scale of this whole thing, just look at this number. According to the UN's Food and Agriculture Organization, the FAO. Yep, that's 673 million people. That's how many were undernourished this year. This isn't some historical stat, it's right now. That's almost 1 out of every 12 people on the entire planet. It's just a stunning reminder of how huge this crisis really is. So that leads to the big question, right? How in the world do you even begin to fight a crisis of that magnitude? Well, the answer is with a system. A vast, sophisticated, and honestly, a surprisingly high-tech global network designed to keep people alive. So what are we up against today? The modern fight against famine isn't like fighting a single enemy. It's more like fighting a perfect storm of all these interconnected problems, everything from war and crazy weather to economic shocks that just ripple across the globe. And according to the FAO, these are the big ones. You've got climate change causing droughts and floods. You've got economic meltdowns that make food impossible to afford. And of course, there's deep-rooted poverty. But here's the kicker. The single biggest driver of severe hunger in 2024? Conflict. War. It affected almost 140 million people. That's more than climate and economic crises combined. So, to fight all this, the world has actually developed this incredible early warning and response system. And this isn't just about charity work. We're talking about data, hard science, and logistics on a massive, massive scale. Okay, check this out. A key piece of this whole puzzle is the Famine Early Warning Systems Network, or FuseNet. And what's so cool about this is it's not just one group. It's a bunch of agencies working together using some seriously cutting-edge science. We're talking about remote satellite sensing, complex climate prediction models, all this stuff to predict food shortages months ahead of time. This gives them the proof they need to get help moving before a crisis becomes a total catastrophe.
So when that help is needed, how does it actually get to people? Well, there are two main ways. The classic one we all picture is food aid, literally delivering sacks of grain. And that's still super important in remote areas where there are no markets. But more and more, agencies like the World Food Program are just giving people cash or vouchers. It's often way cheaper, way faster, and, this is huge, it actually supports the local farmers and shopkeepers instead of accidentally putting them out of business. And this quote from famine expert Fred Cooney just nails why that shift is so important. Speed is absolutely everything. Bringing food in from halfway across the world can take way too long. Using local resources, whether you're buying their food or giving people cash to buy it, saves critical time. And that saves lives. Simple as that.
And, the response is medical, too. You can't just give a starving person a regular meal. Their body literally can't handle it. So there's this whole phased approach. They start with these special therapeutic milks to kind of stabilize the patient. Then they move on to these incredible nutrient-packed products like Plumpy Nut. It's this ready-to-eat peanut paste that's a total game-changer for rapid weight gain. It is a lifesaver. Okay, so this entire incredible global system is built on one single fundamental assumption, that help can and will get through. But what happens when that assumption falls apart? What if, for whatever reason, help is just not coming? And that question brings us to a completely different worldview, really. A perspective that shifts away from relying on any global system and focuses instead on radical self-sufficiency. And it's captured perfectly by the title of this book. So, let's get into this self-reliance mindset. It's the philosophy of preparedness. Now, this isn't about giving up or being cynical. It's more about soberly accepting that the systems we rely on every day can be really fragile. The handbook lays out these two very different mindsets. The normal person, it says, might keep a few days of food and just assumes that emergency services will always be there. The prepper, on the other hand, sees getting ready not as paranoia, but as a form of insurance, stockpiling supplies and relearning skills our ancestors took for granted, just in case. The authors call this philosophy doom and bloom. And I love that reframe. It's about facing the possibility of disaster, the doom, but not with despair. Instead, you see it as a trigger, a reason to become more capable and resilient. That's the bloom. It's a proactive mindset, not a passive one. And this quote, which is featured big in the book, just perfectly sums up that whole ethos. It's not about having some fancy underground bunker or perfect gear. It's about being resourceful. It's about making the best of your situation, right here, right now, with whatever you've got. Okay, so we've got these two totally opposite poles, right? The massive global system and the lone, self-reliant individual. What happens when we see that system actually break down in the real world? Well, the results are absolutely terrifying.
Take the situation in Gaza. According to the FAO, it's a harrowing real-world example of a total system collapse. Their report is blunt. It says the famine there is entirely man-made, a direct result of conflict destroying every single part of the food system.
I mean, these numbers are just staggering. By May 2024, more than 98% of cropland was damaged, gone. 85% of fishing boats and equipment, destroyed. The local ability to produce food has been almost completely wiped out, leaving an entire population dependent on aid that is often blocked or just not enough. And we see the system's fragility on a global scale with the war in Ukraine, too. When a conflict hits one of the world's major breadbaskets, it doesn't just create a local crisis. It sends these shockwaves through global food markets, jacking up prices and threatening stability thousands of miles away. So here's the bottom line. We have built a truly impressive, high-tech, data-driven system to fight hunger. It saves millions of lives. But, and this is a huge but, it is not invincible. It can be totally overwhelmed by disaster, and most terrifyingly, it can be deliberately broken by war. Which brings us to our final, lingering question. In a world where these big, global systems are both incredibly powerful and at the same time profoundly fragile, is preparing for the worst-case scenario, practicing self-reliance, is that just a choice, a hobby for a few, or is it becoming an essential survival skill for all of us?